Well, now, hello, welcome back once again. I was just going to say, if you take the slogan, get to your food fast before someone gets to it first, then you've got to wind up with salads because they're tremendous. This is a whole program about salads, two different kinds of salads. One which is really, really spectacular and different. And the other one is spectacular and different too. Sorry about that. Okay, one thing that's been cropping up, and by the way, it'll really come out in this program, is this percentage of calories from fat. How much of the calories we eat in the day comes from fat. Well, if you've got a very low calorie reading of, say, 100, and you've got 5 grams of fat, you have a low percentage. But if you, fair percentage, but if you have 500 calories and 5 grams of fat, then obviously you're going to have a much smaller percentage. I think really the issue is that there's still 5 grams of fat in the food. Now, I think, therefore, it's much more important to count the numbers of grams of fat that you have in a day. They're on the side of the cartons all over the place nowadays, and I've got them all in. Every recipe I have is in my book. So you can count it up. But how many grams of fat do you personally want? There's quite an easy way of looking at this. Ready for it? Okay. So we'll draw you up here. We need to look at you with an ideal body shape. If this happens to be your ideal, look, you're happy about it. All right. What size should you be, or weight should you be? Now, mine, I went through and had a look at all the tables because I'm 6'2" and I'm broad boned and all the rest of it. So 180 pounds. Mark, I haven't been 180 pounds since I was quite young, but I'd like to be. And wouldn't we all like to be when we're about 21? Okay, so cut that in half. Whatever your ideal weight is, cut it in half, and there are the number of grams for a day. How's that? Simple. Just one little caveat on that one. If you happen to have a heart condition of any sort or family condition, you may want to start tooling that down and talk to your doctor about it. Even down as low as 45 grams a day, which is what my wife Trina's on. Okay? So that's how we're trying to get the grams down all the time in dishes for you. Now this gets the grams of fat down and the calories down at the same time. Come on, I'll show you how it works. Okay, well now, this is called a split spun salad, and it works by a very unusual technique. First of all, I think that you'll find, I've got 8 green onions, or, little fine onions here. Well, not fine onions. These are called spring onions in England, or they can be called scallions, green onions. There's all kinds of names for them. Notice what I'm doing. I'm just cutting those on the diagonal. And the reason for that is that they look just a little bit better in a salad. I mean, there's no flavor difference or anything else that you get out of that. Just cut them down through. But here's the big point, and this is why it's called split. If you go through it to about here, you'll find that amount are pretty hard, and these are soft. And the whole thing about soft salads is that they get hold of the dressing, they drink the dressing up, and then they wilt on you. It's slimy and soft. You know what I mean. So what you do is you split, always, the soft ones. I'm going to put the soft in the colander so that I want to wash those in a moment. And the hard ones I'm going to put in this bowl here. All right. Here's a few other things that you can put into the hard items. There's a tomato. Now, these are Roma tomatoes. You might have seen them around there. They're kind of egg-shaped tomato. There's one little thing that I would do would be always to trim off that end. It's a little personal fetish of mine. You can eat it. It doesn't matter. But somehow, when something like that crops up in a salad, it says to me that someone didn't do the prep work, as well as they could have done. It's trimmed off, and someone in the kitchen cares. It's the way I feel about it when I go to a restaurant, anyway. Okay, 4 of those, and those Romas I prefer because they don't have quite so much juice in them. Sometimes they don't have the flavor, but they really have lots of flesh in it, and so those get poured in too. So there's the green and the red. Now, a cucumber, I love the way these are called English cucumbers, and there we are, they are, either English or gourmet cucumbers, and it's usually wrapped up in this little outer wrapping. And I like them because it's got a smaller general overall shape and not quite so many pits in the center, and it's crisper. peel it on the outside and then take a spoon and just scrape out the seeds from there. And then let's chop that up. These are chopped in fairly small pieces so that they can distribute themselves easily throughout the dish and fairly evenly. And so those are in. Now that's the whole cucumber. Every single bit of the cucumber goes in. So that's one half, and I didn't think you'd like to see me show off again, so there's the other one. And those are all completely separate. Oh, look at that. Isn't that fun? There's one that wasn't quite separated, and I would pick it up to show you. Here then is this last thing, which is obviously carrot. Have you noticed recently how people are saying quite a lot about things like free radicals and getting antioxidants into the blood system? I don't know whether you've heard of that. But this is a thing called beta-carotene, and of course, carrots have it. And there are many vegetables which are teeming in both vitamin C and selenium as a mineral, will come from other sources. But these are the ingredients which help you to actually reduce, this is what I'm doing at the moment, is just making these thin slices here, to reduce the effect of free radicals from oil in your system, of going rancid in your system and causing all kinds of problems, potential for cancer, etc. So, by using fresh vegetables like this in salads, especially the hard stuff here, you get such a jump start on being healthy, and you feel so good about it too. Right? So there are the hard items that I just wanted to add. And no more hard items to add? Okay. Now, salad, the dressing that goes on it. The big issue, I think, is not so much, the salads are great, but what about the problem that you're likely to get if you overdo in the dressing area? So if you're going to make your own, just experiment, just once. Look for this. It doesn't matter about brand names. Don't worry about brand names now. Just look for what it looks like. This you'll find in the vinegar department, most stores now. It's an actual rice vinegar. It's made from rice, and it's very good. And you half a cup of that. Then in the oil that I've got here, I've got some canola oil, which is just 2 tablespoons full of canola oil to half a cup of the vinegar. And just a touch of sesame oil in there. Toasted sesame oil. It has a wonderful, wonderful flavor. That's the 2 tablespoons and just about a quarter of a teaspoonful of the sesame. And you'll find that refined sesame is the best to get. And then, because there's so much vinegar, I've actually got sugar here, 2 tablespoons full of brown sugar, which compensates, you see, for the vinegar. Vinegar pucker up, and then you just smooth it off with the sugar. It really is a very simple dressing. Okay, so a blender, or just shake it up together if you like. Put the various ingredients in, dump the sugar on the top, and then some freshly ground pepper. And if you haven't yet got involved in this, please get involved in it. There are millions of pepper mills. Black pepper, freshly ground, is so good. And it's the most wonderful flavor. So whiz that up. And it doesn't take but a moment. It's sort of 10, 15 seconds, and you've got your own dressing, right? Somebody said to me the other day, you see, when you're shopping, Graham, you go through a supermarket and you see all of these salad dressings, and they say load this and load that. So you just buy that. It's so convenient. I know. But this says to somebody, it's mine. And you develop your own and springboard it. It's my very own dressing. I did it. And you could wind up like Paul Newman and make a fortune. Okay, he gives it away. All right, stick that in the fridge. Now, you see, those are the hard items, and when you take it out of the fridge, the bowl changes color, of course. But what's happened here is that has soaked into those vegetables. Now, I leave that there. Well, 30 minutes is the shortest period of time. If you cover the bowl, then leave it in there overnight. It's fine. And when you do that, some really strange thing happens. You actually shake off the dressing, and you can just, measure it, you see. That dressing could have just been tossed into a salad. Now I've retrieved the dressing. Now, let me show you something really intriguing. if you're going to get the actual green part, you know, of the salad, you can do it this way, by the way. You know that technique, don't you? And that takes out the center core. You can take and tear. Never, 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 ever, please, don't put a knife through a salad. Just tear it up so that in pieces which are just right for you. And try and get a nice yellow salad going with an iceberg, and then get some fabulous outside leaves of a darker romaine. Lovely. And it's so crisp. This is a beautiful romaine. Wash it thoroughly, first of all, when you do it. And then if you wash it and toss it, you'll find that you entrap a tremendous amount of water. And you must have seen these things where people say, well, then all you do is this, and you get water everywhere. Or you toss it in an apron, or you get one of those little metal baskets and toss it. Well, life has got a little bit more mechanical nowadays, and so there is now this little thing. It's a little basket here. And so you put the greens in that. There's nothing worse to me in the whole world than a salad which is just loaded down with water. And so this you just hang on to, and you whiz it. Don't let go. You'll wind up in the 18th century. And turn it round about 20 times like this. It's sort of centrifugal force, and it spins all the water out like that. Neat idea. In fact, let me see. I've got a little bowl here. So I've got. Look at all that water, which would have ruined the whole thing. Okay. Now, look. Here's the really odd thing. Put that, and now toss the salad in that. Just turn it round, and you've tossed it, and spun it off at the same time, so that when you've done that, you can just pour off the salad dressing again, and it's ready for another day. And yet, every one of those leaves of salad is perfectly tossed, brimming with flavor. Gorgeous. Okay. Now, when you're ready to go, you're going to serve it up about not a moment before. Simply put those marinated vegetables there, your beautifully tossed greens there, toss the two together, and look. I mean, come on, feel it. Look at that. And when you serve that up on a plate, there is nothing in error in that salad at all. It is superb. Fresh herbs perhaps thrown in at the last moment, but boy, I'll tell you, you will love it, okay? And you've still got salad dressing, which you can use again. You know, 2 or 3 days in the fridge, but use it within 2 or 3 days. It's wonderful. Okay, numbers. Let's look at that. Fresh and crisp and not oozing and no surplus water on it. So it really goes well. So let's have a look. Instead of, we're just going to compare this with a standard classic French vinaigrette. Okay, with the same salad. So 403 calories with a classic, okay? And ours is down to 82 calories. That's good news. Only 3 grams of fat as against 41, because there's always so much oil in those. And then we have here 0.29 grams, just 0.2 of a gram of saturated fat, which adds up to 35% of calories from fat, because it's very low calories. 0 cholesterol, 25 sodium, 3 fiber, smashing. Now, so often in my books, I actually talk about, to you, serve this with a split spun salad. And now you know what it is. It's a wonderful salad. You just taste that sesame on the back of it. Really good stuff. Okay, so you try that, springboard it. Now, completely different kind of dish with a velvety, soft dressing over the top of it. You like velvety, soft dressing? This will knock you out. This will come out. If I was to have a restaurant, which I won't, I don't think, that's the salad that I would do, that last one. And then I'd have this one as well. Come on, Graham. All right. In here, a steamer with the bottom and the top steam, and having steamed through the vegetables, what I want to do is just to toss those into a bowl and get those out of the way. They are still warm, and want to make sure that they are just cool down a little bit, because if you take these straight out of the steamer, if you take these straight out of the steamer and put the sauce on that I'm going to make for them, you'd be in real trouble. Okay, they're warm enough for me to be able to do this. Okay, good. So they're just warmed. Have you ever had a wilted salad? I mean, you know, one that is genuinely wilted on purpose? Well, that's what this is. So just put that to one side. That's cauliflower and cucumbers and carrots. But you can ring the changes with favorite vegetables that you've got. Here is the technique, and this is really special. Pan on the heat here, and this is the only amount of fat in the dressing itself, is that amount. It's just 1/4 teaspoonful of oil. And that's needed in order to be able to get these ingredients. These little fellas here are mustard seeds, you know, from which great trees grow and birds nest in them, you know, the old statement. Okay, so those are just sizzling now, and they've got to break out some of the natural oils, as well as here 1 teaspoonful of cumin seed, and those are available just, you know, in the spice department in the supermarket. So those are toasted on top. And then turmeric, which is a root, and this is this sort of false saffron for some people. It is bright yellow in color and marvelous. I like the flavor of it too. I don't want to burn. See, that looks like it's very hot? Just pull that to one side. I don't want it to be too hot here. And then, when those have just been toasting together for a moment or two, put in 2 tablespoonsful of brown sugar. And I promise you, I don't think you'll find this anywhere else in any way. This is totally, radically new kind of idea. So just put those together. Now, let that simmer away together with 1/2 cup of water. That's what you call a simmer, Graham. and 1/2 cup of the rice vinegar or a wine vinegar, okay? And a nice light vinegar, not a dark vinegar. And just stir that around and just give that about 5 minutes to just simmer. And when you've simmered it, you strain it out, and it looks like this. It's a glossy, wonderful, spicy combination. All right. So then all you need to do is to get some of the strained yogurt. You know, I've shown you how to do this a dozen or so times, but it's like this, just a non-fat yogurt. And put it into a little strainer like this one, set it up over the carton, put a lid on the top, 5 or 6 hours later, and it just looks terrific because it is thick and creamy and soft. I mean, it looks like thick double cream, doesn't it? Looks great. So into this, you then pour the 3 tablespoonsful of the flavor. Oops. It would be nice if I took it out of the strainer first. I'm getting ahead of myself. Take it out of the strainer, otherwise you'll have it all over the board. And 3 tablespoonsful of the nectar, which has come out from those spices. And begin to stir that in together. And then it will go this magnificent yellow color. All right? Now, into that at the same time, this is good strained yogurt this time. Look, see how solid that is. All right, just whip it in. And into that, we get also some fresh coriander. All right, and this is what the fresh coriander will look like when it hits it. Coriander is this. You know, you sometimes call it a cilantro. It's right by the side of where the parsley is normally in the supermarket. And it's usually, gosh, it's one of the great herbs. So you'll be able to find that pretty easily now. A tablespoonful of that. And then that is just whizzed together. If you've ever tasted cilantro and loved it, I can bet my bottom dollar that you're feeling it in your mouth at the present moment, saying that is something I'd like to try. So you've got the mouth-round fullness. You've got that wonderful sense of, boy, that is rich and round, but without the fat. That's what happens with that strained yogurt. So then just take all of that and just dump it, since it doesn't have fat in it, from just that little tiny bit which came from that early frying of the vegetables there, and just disperse it amongst those vegetables. Just turn them in together and make sure that that just goes throughout the whole dish. So don't macerate them, just fold it in just like that. That's fine. Now, here are some leaves of the romaine lettuce. Remember how I said so definitively just a few moments ago, never, never, never use a knife? Well, here we are. There's only one time when you would use a knife, and that's when you're making this kind of chiffonade. You see what I did? I rolled those like tobacco leaves together, 5 or 6 leaves of romaine, and do this just before you serve it, all right? And you'll see how this looks. It looks really good on the plate. You then take this mix and give yourself a good portion of it onto the plate, like so. Doesn't that look great? Look, and it's oozing. It has that rich look to it, but it's going to look even better. And then take the sort of garland or wreath around the outside, and just distribute that around the outside. It should look frail and wispy and completely fresh. All right. Great. Little bits everywhere. And then get just a few raisins. And I'm going to put just a little. That looks a bit miserable to me. And just put a bit more on the top. Good. And then put some raisins on the top, just a few raisins on the top, and pine nuts. Just to distribute some pine nuts on there as well. And it looks just fantastic and tastes wonderful. Come on, let's see the numbers. Now the numbers, I compared this. There is this one, that the textures and the light as it hits it, all very intriguing and different. This one here is a 1,000 Island salad, and that's what I, with the dressing, that's about the same amount of dressing that I used to have always, and that dressing can be really quite a lot. Okay, so let's have a look and see the difference between the classic and the Minimax. Now, about the same in terms of calories, 203. We've got quite a lot of salad there. But fat goes down to just 5 grams, down from 12, and only 1 gram of saturated fat. That's what I love about it, is to get the saturated fat down as much as possible. So 1 gram of that is saturated. So that means that in this salad, you've actually got a good, really robust salad, only 20% of calories and fat. It's good. Okay, cholesterol, one little tiny, hardly worth noting. 129 in sodium and 9 in dietary fiber. Gosh, I mean, I get thrilled when I get the thought that I'm going to have a low-fat salad like this with a creamy dressing to it, and I'm getting vegetables, so I'm getting all of that magnificent fiber as well, fiber and taste and you know, the word is complex. It's got layers. It goes one after the other. With the raisins and the little, and you get one of those little nuts, and they just bite in them and just spread out in your mouth. This is such a good salad. This is really something that you need to try, okay? And it does this Minimax thing very well because it minimizes risk with the fat, and yet it maximizes the flavor with aromas and colors and textures at the same time, okay? Do try it. People that you really love, okay? God bless you. Thanks for being with me once again. See you next time.